Voting members are here in person as required, but officers and public speakers are able to join remotely if they wish through Microsoft Teams. The meeting is being streamed live on the Council's YouTube channel for public viewing. I have 5 housekeeping announcements. For those joining remotely, when you're not speaking, please ensure your microphone is muted and your camera is off. If you share a presentation on the screen, please stop sharing as soon as it's not needed. Public speakers must only have their cameras on and be unmuted when addressing the committee or answering questions of clarification in their designated slots. 2, for us in the room, evacuation procedure. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate the building by the nearest exit, which is in the corridor immediately on your right. And please stand at assembly point 9 outside in the outside area beyond the fire exit. On arriving at this meeting, you should have read the emergency evacuation procedure and signed the fire register. Please inform Democratic Services if you have not done so. Mobile phones, please silent or off. Finally, when the meeting's ended, I'll ask for confirmation the live stream has ended, if indeed it starts. At that point, please make your way out of the building, remembering to sign out as you leave. And final point, this is a meeting in public, not a public meeting. And I ask that members of the public, both those attending in person and virtually, ensure that they do not shout out or disrupt the committee's deliberations outside of those who've registered to speak in their allocated slots. Okay, thank you very much. Right, apologies for absence. Emily Barry, do we have any apologies this evening?
We do, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Cheryl Briggs, who has substituted Councillor Catherine Foxall this evening.
Okay, thank you. And could you just do a roll call of everyone
Absolutely. Councillor Max Thompson?
Yes, sir.
Councillor Val Shaw?
Yes.
Councillor Ron Batstone?
Yes.
Councillor Jenny Hannaby?
Yes.
Councillor Robert Madison?
Yes.
Councillor Mike Pickhills?
Here.
Councillor Jill Rayner?
Here.
Councillor Scott Horton?
Here.
And Councillor Catherine Foxall? Yeah, here.
Perfect, thank you. I now turn to minutes of the meeting held on 13th of February 2024. Has anyone got any comments on those? And if not, could someone propose we accept them as an accurate record? Councillor Horton, thank you for that proposal. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Hannaby. All those in favour of accepting those as correct record? Those against? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. Understood. Perfect, thank you very much. Item 4 is declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest this evening? Can't see any, so thank you very much. Item 5 is urgent business. Emily Hamilton, do we have any urgent business this evening?
Yes, I have 2 matters, Chair. Firstly, item 8 on your agenda has been withdrawn this evening. This is because it became apparent after the publication of the agenda, the website area for this application wasn't correct. It did not include an area of access which went up to a private road. So therefore, we need a new red site area and we need notice serving on the owners of the private road. That is now being undertaken. Once the consultation period for that has ended, it will come back to committee. I also just want to remind you all that the council is preparing a joint local plan covering Vale of Whitehorse and South Oxfordshire, which, when adopted, will replace the existing local plans. Currently, this is at what we call Regulation 18 stage, the joint local plan preferred options. It has limited weight when making planning decisions. So the starting point for decision taking will remain the policies in the current adopted local plans.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Public participation. We have 2 speakers who've registered to speak this evening, Aaron Wright and Mark Davies, and I'll call you when we've heard the presentation from our officers. With that, I'm going to turn to the only item we have on the agenda this evening, which is the Reserve Matters application, Phase 1A, Valley Park Land, the west of Great Western Park. Stuart, I believe you're presenting on this one.
I am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just bear with me. Bring up the presentation. Okay, so good evening, everyone. This application is seeking approval of reserve matters for infrastructure works relating to Phase 1A at Valley Park. The site is allocated in our local plan and outline planning permission was granted in February 2022. Reserve matters approval is sought for infrastructure, which is a road, a foul pumping station, substation and attenuation basins, and the proposal has been amended to address comments received from technical officers. Since writing the report, officers have received a further update from the County Council as Highway Authority, confirming no objection stating that the proposed Spine Road main street has been clearly designed in accordance with the adopted strategic design code and Section 106 agreement requirements, the Valley Park development site, and that the proposed cross sections for that road are acceptable. County Council has, however, requested additional conditions seeking lighting and traffic calming details to be agreed prior to commencement of development. And these are accepted by your officers to be added to the recommendation in the agenda pack. I'll now go through the proposal. So on screen at the moment, you have an aerial site location plan showing the wider context of the site. So you've got Milton Park to the north, the 4130 just immediately to the north of the blue. And obviously the former Didcot A power station site to the right there in white. And we've got Great Western Park to the east here, where you can see the housing on the right hand side on the bottom right hand corner there. This is the red line boundary. There's a more clearer plan in the agenda pack that you would have seen earlier, showing the reserve matters. So we have the pumping station here, substation there, the access road coming down this part of the site, and then the attenuation basins are sitting here on the north. And this is the highway drawing showing the access that's under consideration this evening in the context of the two phases of development that are coming forward in terms of housing. We've got the housing on the left, which I believe is the Persimmon site, and then we've got housing on the right, which will be the Taylor Wimpey development coming forward. So this is a bit of a closer view of the highway geometry as you're coming into the site. The land in blue on there is already constructed and is outside of the application before you this evening. You can just see how it connects through up to this bus turning area that's mentioned in the report. And this is a photo montage of the pumping station. So you can see the actual pumping station itself is sort of below ground. So it is sort of sitting here in the compound rather than structures above ground. That's back to the layout plan. The proposed development has been designed and developed to accord with the approved strategic design code and framework plan for the site-wide development. Appearance, landscape, layout and scale are acceptable for the reasons in the report. And turning to the internal access road, this is acceptable and accords with design specifications set out in the legal agreement and the approved design code. It has also been approved as part of the reserve matters for the housing to the west of the road. Post drainage scheme on site is acceptable, and the drainage engineer and the Environment Agency confirm no objection. And officers consider there are no outstanding issues to prevent this phase of infrastructure development from being delivered. The application is therefore recommended for approval, subject to the planning conditions set out on page 8 of the agenda, with the two additional conditions on lighting and traffic calming for the access road. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Stuart. We'll return to you for some questions once we've heard from our speakers. So our speakers this evening are Aaron Wright and Mark Davies. If you could please come up to the table. Thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you for joining us. I understand that, well, you have 3 minutes to speak if you wish, but I understand that you may just wish to answer questions, but you are also very welcome to speak for 3 minutes if you wish.
Thank you. It was Adrian Butler suggested that we came here to answer any questions that you may have, but we don't have any further comments at all.
Okay, right. In which case, I'll ask members of the committee if you've got any questions. Sorry, I probably should ask you to introduce yourself. Sorry, apologies. So please introduce yourself, and then I'll turn to any questions.
My name's Aaron Wright. I'm the Senior Planning Manager for Taylor Wimpey.
I'm Mark Davis, Project Manager for City Homes.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask about the kind of drainage scheme that's being implemented. I mean, it's partly because of everything that's been happening over the last 2 or 3 months, and kind of obviously kind of various flooding incidents and various issues to do with, like, for example, some of the developments near where I live. There's been a lot of kind of pollution of streams and things like that going on. And I just wanted to hear from you really about how sure you are is what's being put in place is adequate to cope with the levels of rain and kind of drainage issues we've actually seen, particularly in terms of connecting to the external infrastructure and whether the capacity is in place, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's fine. So the basins at the front of the site, which you would have seen, have been designed appropriately to to 1 in 100 year plus 41% climate change, which is what current policy is. So we're confident that those big basins at the foot of the site will hold the water, and then they it discharges into Calbrook at a slow discharge rate.
We have spent a lot of time working with the Environment Agency, looking at our drainage strategy, and we have a no objection from them. So they're satisfied that we meet all the requirements and that there'll be no issues on this site.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Manson, it might have been the same question, so.
Pretty much.
Oh, right, sorry.
What Councillor Pickles asked. I'll come back if I think of another one.
Councillor Rayner.
Almost the same as these two, but with an addition, if you've looked at this and said you accommodate it for 1 in 100 year eventuality, what scale would the last few months be?
I don't think we're weather experts. I'm not sure about to give you that.
No, I'm just wondering if if you're accommodating for one sort of disaster that would start some slow discharge, would that be rain that we've had the last 3 months, or would it be lots more? I don't know how you're judging.
Yeah, I mean, the development is a 1 in 100 plus 41% climate change. So it's got that extra capacity. I think the rainfall we've had recently would be able to sit in our system very safely and would be discharged through the site with no issues at all. So we are very confident in our drainage strategy that it can handle extreme weather events.
Councillor Hannaby.
Yes, well, it's quite a delight to see that the highway agency, the drainage officer and the environment are all quite happy. It's usually the other way around with us, etc. Pumping station, who will be maintaining the pumping station?
So that's a company called Leap. So the whole site is to be adopted by Leap
It's a
Utilities.
management company, is it?
It's a new thing called a NAV, basically. So it used to go to Thames Water. It's a new thing that they will adopt the whole foul sewer, all stormwater on site.
Yes, okay. Well, Thames Water never say no to anything, do they? And then we had to put it, this is ours, and let's hope not this time. Can I ask a question about the play area? I don't know if it's within your remit, but I know there was some concern about the play area because with this whole area that we really do need really good play areas for all ages and all abilities.
Yes, we have been meeting with the parish council to discuss the different play equipment. We've also met a lady that lives nearby that has a disabled child.
Yeah.
And what she would like us to do is to look at equipment that we can incorporate into our scheme that can be used by children with disabilities. So it's something that we're very keen on incorporating into our scheme so that it is inclusive and can be used by all children.
Yes, it's so important to get that right. So thanks very much.
Thank you. I have one quick question about cycle lanes. So if we turn to sort of paragraph 5.8 of this, so we understand that there is no highways objection, but initially there was a sort of holding objection where highways indicated that they would like the cycle lanes to be widened to 1.7 metres. Maybe you could just explain why that's not, but I understand it's not a requirement, but maybe you could understand whether that's possible or what, if it's not possible, why it's not possible.
It's something we looked into. So to do that, well, the carriageway is, I think it's 6.3 metres wide.
Yeah.
And so to then make the cycleways 1.7, you'd have to take the carriageway down to 5.9.
Yeah.
And that caused us tracking issues with the buses that have to go through the site. So we've had positive discussions with Highway and they have removed their objection.
Understood. Thank you. Any final questions? That's Foxhall.
Thank you for coming to see us this evening. I do have a question, and this is my first planning committee, so I may be pushing my luck and it may not be within the remit of this meeting. But in relation to Thames Water, it's just been mentioned, and the foul water pumping. In the last couple of months, there has been quite some big context changes in our understanding, and particularly in the Environment Agency's understanding of the problems related to sewage. And in fact, and specifically related to Didcot, Thames Water are saying in their enhancement case for AMP8, that they're looking at a 36% growth in Didcot, of which Valley Park is a significant element. And that their Didcot has been identified as a sewage works that is unable to cope and will not be able to cope with that growth, and will only be able to cope with that growth if they put a £99 million investment into the sewage work. So I would like to understand, please, what your understanding of the situation is at Didcot, and specifically also the very recent intervention last month by the Environment Agency at Bayswater Brook in Oxford, and the implications for that, because I think as a committee it has implications for our understanding of the kind of conditions we can ask for as well.
It might be it might be a better question towards Stuart, unless you wish to.
Their understanding of the
Yeah,
situation.
you can also understand this.
The outline planning consent, there was 2 conditions attached to the outline consent, which was to do with surface water and also to do with foul.
Yeah.
We have submitted full details of our foul strategy to the council, and only yesterday the Environment Agency came back and confirmed no objection on our foul strategy. They are satisfied that we can accommodate that, and we're hoping that that planning condition will be discharged as soon as Adrian gets back from holiday. So that was only yesterday. We had that no objection. So I think the Environment Agency and all the relevant statutory authorities are confident in our strategy and that we can hit the capacity for our residents. And certainly from a customer point of view, we cannot have any issues. It's our reputation that will be affected. So we will ensure that there are no problems on our side.
No problems on your side, but you can't comment on Thames Water's problems down the road.
I can't. All I know is that for the Valley Park site, for the number of houses and for the different factories on that scheme, we are satisfied that we can provide the capacity for foul, and that all the relevant authorities have now raised no objection and are happy with the proposals.
Thank you very much.
I can't see any further questions. I'll say thank you very much for joining us this evening, and please, you can sit down. Not sit down. Sorry. I was about to say stand down, but you're sitting already. So thank you very much. So now we're going to turn to any questions we have of our officer, Stuart Walker. So I don't know, Councillor Foxall, would you like to start by addressing with the response to the question you levelled?
That's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Stuart.
The site's allocated in our local plan. So
Yeah.
at the time of preparing our local plan, we do consult Thames Water, and they have to then take that on board in terms of their forward planning. Their business plans tend to be 5-year rolling on, and this site has been adopted in the local plan. So the accommodation of the flows from this development are already in their business forward planning of investment. And so that's why we've allowed the outline permission to be issued in February 2022, because normally if Thames Water say there's not capacity, we've then got to look at how the programme of improvement works are designed up to a level that we have confidence that they can be delivered in tandem with the housing. So that's quite often what happens, and we will look at what's called Grampian conditions that other council members are very familiar with on planning applications that prevent occupation taking place until those off-site improvement works to the network have been undertaken. I'm not personally aware of any delays at the moment to improvement works for Didcot in terms of the Valley Park proposal, and we are probably getting on for nearly 12 months away from the first occupations here, but it will be something that we'll be working quite closely with our drainage engineers, the Environment Agency and Thames Water if there's going to be delays on Thames Water side. My understanding at the moment is the drainage system has been is agreed in principle in terms of strategies at the outline stage, and we're now looking at a little bit more of that detail in these early detailed matters, now reserved matters in terms of layout. But Thames Water at the moment are saying that there's not an issue from their perspective. And the comment on the pumping station here going to a third party, my understanding on that is it's effectively similar to the other utility providers that you can go and get your gas from someone else. There are now companies that can perhaps bid for some of the infrastructure from Thames Water's network rather than Thames Water being the utility provider. We have other companies that are coming in to perhaps take that on. And that's happened on a couple of our sites now across the district, where we get notified that Thames Water are not the utility foul water network that's being dealt with by a third party. But that's all in line with the Water Industry Act.
Thank you. Yeah, I did look for their responses on that outline. But of course, those documents aren't available online. Yes, I understand Thames Water is saying 2028, but Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Pickles.
So could you cover off the point about flood zones and about what flood zones this site's actually in? And also just confirm that I know our drainage engineers looked at this in a lot of detail, just confirm our understanding exactly where this all is from a flood risk perspective.
Yeah, of course. I'm just going to try and open up the plans. Plan. I think I've got the flood zone plan. What we showed the network. My understanding from the flood zone, I think, is just outside the red line of the reserve matters to the east of the access road, and then there's a further bit on the west side. I will show you. Yeah.
So, I mean, because I couldn't actually find it myself, that's one of the reasons why I emailed you earlier. Well, Adrian earlier.
So my understanding is a little bit here, flood zone in this area, just to the north of the water course, and then the other bit is just to the north and west. And at the top, and then we've got the improvement works that are going on to the, move the mouse down. And then we've got the improvements to the water course here, the proposed swale, and that's where the Environment Agency are saying they're satisfied that this will work from their perspective. We'll just bring up their comments. So they're saying the modelling, as summarised in the technical notes, the Carroll Brook modelling, which is effectively adding 700 metres, I think, to the Carroll Brook. From their satisfaction, flood flows will be contained within the local water courses when considering high risk flood scenarios, which is what you would normally look at in terms of the flood zones 2 and 3, and taking into account climate change. And they are confident the site is not considered to be at high risk, and therefore withdrew their objection on that element. Just go to the plans that's showing the Carroll Brook, Meadow Brook, and the Sturt Brook that are within the wider site. And this is the modelling that is being done, and let's come down to the summary actions. So just bear with me. This is taking account of the various scenarios. And we've got the updated sections of the Carroll Brook and the additional section, which is highlighted there in yellow. And the summary of that modelling reports. It's just saying it's extended with the extra 700 metre section upstream to cover the development area, and therefore the peak flows and the baselines then demonstrating that it's taking account of the higher events of 1 in 1,000 years and 1 in 100 years plus climate change. And it's that information that's been considered by the drainage engineer and the Environment Agency, and they're satisfied with it.
So we don't know when the approval work's going to take place, or has it already taken place? It's not. The key things we've got a condition saying no development until it takes place. I just wonder if we knew when it was taking place.
I don't have a programme of delivery on that, I'm afraid. No.
But for condition 6, I think that is not okay. Any other questions for Stuart? Please.
I'm assuming that's an immovable condition. I mean, I know sometimes conditions get relaxed because of like the crossing outside of Aldi and some of my bugbears, and cycle lanes outside Aldi. But in that, for that kind of condition, that one wouldn't be relaxed.
We would not without consultation with the Environment Agency and our drainage engineer, and looking at alternative proposals. So it's a condition that's being imposed on the list, and the applicant would have to come back with an application to remove it, and we would then reconsider the matter. Slightly different in the relationship with the Aldi one, because I think that's some design changes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I understand it's slightly different, but we can always make everything look slightly different.
I think if there's design changes to this, then we need to come back and with a further application.
Right, that's the point. And so, okay.
And I think potentially, I mean, this will be part of the minutes. Well, I think we can say that we're particularly, we've mentioned condition 6 and our concerns about not undertaking development until the improvement works are made. So
I have one question for clarity about Adrian's report. What is condition 36? Or have I misread that?
Maybe it made condition 6. I don't know where does it feature? 21.
Yeah. Because I couldn't find condition 36.
I think
It might be relating back to the outline.
Right, okay.
All right.
I did actually look at the full application. But
Yeah, condition 36 of the outline permission.
yeah, right.
Great. Any further questions for Stuart? In which case, I'm going to suggest we move into debate, and in order to do so, I need a motion. So would someone like to put forward a motion on this application? Councillor Batstone.
Yes, I propose that we accept this application.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Horton. Thank you very much. So we have a motion to accept the application with the conditions outlined here. Would anyone, I open the floor to debate. Would anyone like to say anything? Councillor Batstone, would you like to start as a proposer?
Yes, I think I had several questions on this application, and I think they've all been satisfactorily answered by the officers and by the developers. So I'm not too happy about the cycle lanes, but I think that's something that we've got to put up with. So overall, I think we have to accept this application.
Thank you. Any further debate on this? Councillor Hannah.
Well, I think I'll just repeat what I said before, that we've got our three or four major consultees that are all in agreement, and I think that especially our drainage, drainage is an issue, and I think all of us, we've really got to home in on anything like this. I'm dealing with something in my own area for Kingsgrove, so I know about putting things into our streams, etc. That we have to be careful. But I'm confident that our drainage engineers have gone through it and will work.
Thank you. Any
I'm
further
never
debate?
confident 100% about Thames Water. But I'm hoping that everything will all be well.
Any further debates? Councillor Vauxhall.
Just I think it's really obvious that there's been a huge amount of work gone into this and lots of revisions and in response to comments. And I think there's a good list of conditions in relation to the concerns that have been raised, particularly by through the consultations.
Thank you. Anything further? In which case I would suggest we take a vote on this. So we have a motion to accept the officer's recommendation as written, with those two extra conditions. I should probably say, shouldn't I, as written, with those two extra conditions on traffic calming and lighting. Okay. So all those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Well, thank you all for your attendance this evening. That's our only item. So with that, I call the meeting to a close. That's it.